Oh my god, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. It's currently Tuesday, November 6, 2012, and this is Day 9 Daily number 521, where we learn to be a better gamer. Pew! In today's news, the election is occurring now. In a few short hours, we will know who will be the future president of the United States. But we're going to do a StarCraft Daily anyways because video games! Yes! Yeah! People will care deeply about the results of the election before they go back to playing video games. But you and I, we're preempting it. Kind of. I mean, the election, in all honesty, is an important thing. However, I just got back from MLG Dallas, where I had a blast. And this weekend, I'm going to the Lone Star Clash 2 in Texas, which you should totally tune into. And if you go to day9.tv, you can find out how to tune in. It's just literally there on the front page. But this is the only day all week where I could do the daily. Ideally, I kind of want to be keeping up on the election. I have like my little Google election tracker on my third monitor. But since this is the only day I could do a daily, I thought, why not do a daily? Now, if you're watching on the archive, you're thinking, nothing's amiss, except where did he get that beautiful black cashmere sweater? It looks so soft. And to you, I say, it's really soft. You actually have no idea how good this feels. But now, if you are a live viewer, you know that it is currently 7:40. Ordinarily, my daily begins at 7:05 Pacific. The internet went down. And thusly, we could not begin the daily. So we're going to go ahead and begin it now. There we go. And we're probably going to be doing a two-parter. 8:30 is when I must depart, tragically. So we're going to be doing a two-part daily looking at LiquidSea and his oh-so-creative Terran vs. Protoss play where some mech occurs. Now, what I was saying in the original false start of the Day 9 Daily is that I kind of hate the taboo built around the word mech, the stigma to it. You're going mech, why don't you play standard? Or things like, that's not a strat that MVP uses. Oh, you're meching? Are you not meching? Is that good on this map? You know, there's so much that I almost feel like there's not enough respect for the mech. And by that I mean, if someone started incorporating some more Banshees or Vikings into their play, people would say he's incorporating more Banshees and Vikings. If someone was making some extra ghosts, they'd say he's making some extra ghosts. If someone's building largely tanks and Hellions, they're like, he's going mech! And remember that one time when there was that one post debunking it? I don't know why there's such a big deal made about it. So this is what we're actually going to do. We are going to be discussing what we see LiquidSea doing as though we don't know what is good or bad or orthodox or unorthodox, only what we see as being strong play or weak play. So as we step into the map, let's go ahead and begin said analysis. And we'll do it in two parts. Does that sound good? Cool. Hopping into the game, hopping into the game, hopping into the game, hopping into the game. One thing that I will say, when there's a stigma around mech, I also note that there's almost the positive type of stigma where people value what a player's doing just because it has Hellions and tanks in it. Or players who hate what that guy's doing just because there's Hellions or tanks in it. We kind of want to be agnostic to that as well. The positive side too. And I really want to emphasize to drop all the superstitious joy built around mech because it's so easy to fall into that. Where you're like, but look at all the probes you can kill with those Hellions. Juicy, juicy, juicy. Oh, look at him kill those probes. But if you lose horribly, a loss is a loss is a loss is a loss. The game doesn't know it's standard or not. It only knows what winning and losing are. So we kind of want to be one of those people. Kind of want to be one of those people. So C starting off, being cool. Oh yeah, the map. Oh, I wanted to note about the map. Let's talk about the map without noting basic strategies.
Additional supply
Early
depots.
expanding, very easy. Natural expansions on most maps are easy to take. But also, we have a fairly easy to take third, as it is joined by this little neck here. We do have this wide open space that we have to defend when we take second and third. The real issue on this map is where your fourth base is. If we head on over here to this expansion, expanding here opens up this entire new bit of territory. The fact that the entrance is here means that we would either have to cover this whole region in order to guard this ramp and guard him from getting there, or we have to extend our defenses up to here, while still having this full area of stuff that we have to defend. Likewise, if we head on over here to the left, I don't think it's very hard for me to demonstrate just by visually showing that this expansion here is way the hell far away from the other ground stuff that we have. So that does mean that a fourth base is hard as hell to get. Now, one thing I briefly want to do is that I was having internet troubles, so if the video looks okay in-game, give me a 1. If it looks bad, give me a 0. I just want to have that brief test done. Again, archive viewers, sorry. Just want to make sure. Just want to make sure we're getting all ones. Fantastic. Good, lovely, nifty. We know that it's also hard to take a fourth expansion here. And the distance from left to right is short. The distance from top to down is also quite short. But ordinarily, we'd look at this map and say, if I want to take a fourth, I have to have a mobile army, or I have to have him on the defensive. It's very hard to be a defensive player and secure fourth base on this map. Now, C's doing something cool. He will be early expanding, but he's going for the 2 supply depot and 2 marine before building the command center. I used to be one of the players who would say, yeah, if you're going to early expand, go 1 depot, 1 marine, and expand. Don't spend the 150 minerals building 2nd depot and 2nd marine. Just get that damn expansion out there. However, Flash has been very successful with hiding a command center up here when he expands. I won't go too much into the logic of why that's so strong. I'll just note that I am increasingly a fan of the wall off, deflect him, and then expand. So C follows up by going for a double refinery. Now, a lot of how do I say that? How do I say it? Guys, I lost the way that I wanted to say it. How do you say it? A lot of strategy is half what you want to do and half what you have to do. So for instance, let's say you want to go for a fast factory. So half of it is going, all right, I want to get a fast factory, so I'm going to get the refineries up for it. But the second part of that is that with every wish and desire you have, you then have to say, well, what else is then sort of automatically going to have to happen so I don't frickin' die? If I go for this, I'm not building extra barracks. I have just 2 marines. I'm going to need to build an extra bunker. Yeah. Nice. 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 There are other ways of doing this as well. I'm going to do a non-Terran versus Protoss example really fast. If I'm Terran and I open up Hellions and my opponent is going Banshee, I wanted to go Hellions, that was my want. And now that he's going Banshee, what do I really kind of have to do? I kind of have to go Viking, because I certainly can't make Marines one at a time out of my frickin' barracks, and I certainly am not going to get good coverage and defense going for turrets. So again, there's the wants, and that's sort of what naturally falls out so that you stay alive. Ah, cool. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Aw, yeah.
SCV ready.
So, everything is to be expected as C is going to be going bunker, and soon enough he'll build a factory. Another nifty little timing is that you can hide this here SCV if you don't see anything, and then you wait until around 4:45 to 5 minutes and send it to his expansion. This is a timing that a lot of the superstars are using, but I would say a lot of the average bears are not using it so much.
SCV ready.
Let's actually split the logic up into 2. When does a stalker normally pop out? When does a stalker normally pop out? To you, I question. When does a stalker normally pop out? For starters, if you don't know, you can always just check. And quite simply, it's going to pop out at around this 4:35 mark. That's the most general time when we will see a stalker. Or excuse me, 4:05. 4:05 is a chrono boost. 4:15 is when he does not have a chrono boost going down. So the fact that this is popping down a little bit late, this to me kind of looks like he didn't have a chrono boost, or this was, or excuse me, I saw a chrono boost, and because this is 4:15, this looks kind of like maybe the cybernetics core went down late, but about 4:05 is as early as you'll see a stalker. You'll see this a lot in PvP, where you just have to keep track of that. So if you keep this here, on most maps by 4:35, that's when this guy walking out will have completely cleared the entrance. So 4:35 on most maps is when he will have completely cleared the entrance. But we want to be cautious, so we're just going to wait a little bit longer. One of two situations is the case. He's either, one, walking his stalker to your half of the map to pick off Marines to check up on what you're doing and all that sort of stuff. He's being aggressive in some way. Or two, he's leaving his stalker at home, doing nothing with it, keeping it to prevent your SCV from scouting, which is great, because now you're not being aggressed against. Fantastissimo. So that's why we wait until close to 5 minutes. I like to send it at 4:45. I feel like that's quite useful, but there's nothing wrong with waiting until around 5 minutes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, C, now going to be following this up with a reactor. Yes. So here's the 5-minute scout. We almost always anticipate that his stalker will be somewhere out here, and that we can get some sort of reasonable information. So it looks like C wanted to check the third base. This is something that I think is really, really damn frickin' important to know. With this sort of scouting technique, again, let us not ask ourselves whether mech is good or bad, whether it's awesome or not awesome, whether you're a loser or whether you're a princess, right? I don't care what these other silly labels are. We're going to ignore it for a moment. I just want to ask about, what is it you're trying to look for when you're doing a specific strategy? If you are opening up for a barrack or with an early reactor play, are you stronger or weaker against a 3-basing player, an early 3-nexus player? I mean, C could have very well cut up here and checked in there, and it's just important that you know what it is you're looking for. That sounds kind of vague and wishy-washy, but when you are playing, you'll naturally feel what you're losing to. And I like the fact that C is looking over here, probably has had some experience with 3 bases, either was giving him trouble, or he had straightforward mass Hellion wins against someone who went 3-nexus and had issues otherwise.
Upgrade complete.
That's all you really gotta look for. Is what's making you happy or unhappy. So, C, though, is doing a pretty standard move. He's going to be going straight for this Hellion opening to close off some space. Yeah. This is... I like Hellions. They do a good job of pinning the Protoss back. This is just generally smart play. If my SCV died down here, then I can certainly take my own watchtower, pretty much with impunity. But I love going Hellions because it forces him to be defensive, and this, I think, is what's really cool about what C is doing in this game. He's going straight for Hellion Banshee. It looks a lot like a Zerg vs. Terran. Here he is, moving on out. Yeah, alright. I will again note, my knowledge of this opening versus an early 3-nexusing player is limited. I have no idea how this fares against a 3-nexus player. I have no idea. I've never seen an example of it. However, I will still note that probably in C's playing of it, and there's several replays of him doing this style, had some issue with it, and that's why he suicided his SCV in to scout that. And again, that's probably why he was waiting longer, till 5 or 5:15 before he ended up doing the scout, so that way he would be guaranteed to see at least the probe heading towards that third base. Either way, we are hitting a fun time
Ready to raise some hell.
in every
SCV ready.
Terran player's life, where we are seeing the opportunity to start doing some nice fun aggression with the Hellion. Now this is something interesting. A Raven popping out right away. I'll just note that that's cool for now. In many other circumstances you can go for Das Banshee, but this is a nice way to deal with observers, certainly. And again, damn, see, checking the third as well. He's also avoiding these watchtowers in the middle, but still skirting by the third. And now we're starting to see the basic reason why this early Hellion play is so strong. What beats it? Well, generally Stalkers.
Be ready.
And, I mean, certainly extremely good force fields. But even so, there were 3 sentries using a lot of energy. We killed one, and our opponent had to have a lot of zealots already pre-made. And what did Protoss see at this point? He really had hardly any information at all. So this Protoss is quite fortunate. A lot of players are cutting corners. Now let me stop here and note where this sort of from the other direction logic comes. Let us not argue what is good or bad or what we see a lot or what we don't see a lot. Let's not do any of that. Let's just say, how do Protosses normally defend and early expand? Normally, by holding the watchtowers and with a small amount of sentries and zealots. What's good against a small amount of sentries and zealots? Hellions are! Yeah! So suddenly, we have made a statement that has nothing to do with what we see Terrans doing a lot. It's just what we see Protosses doing a lot. It's what our opponents are going to do a lot, and how we can use that read to our advantage. So we can start to see why this build was constructed in this fashion. Some really sweet, schwanky play. And I do think that maybe could have got some extra shots off on those zealots. And in general, I am of the opinion that if you are coming up a ramp with Hellions, to come up in a sort of middle-ish angle. Because if you're at a corner, it's actually quite easy to force field and then force field here and trap them. I like having just a little bit more space with my Hellions. So coming back to the C cam, C got to shut down that observer. Is building a Viking. I personally would cancel the Viking and go for Das Viking, but this is pretty sweet. The Protoss player is literally completely in the dark. Can't even afford to send an observer in. This is a really sweet lockdown of the vision. See very clearly now why it happens. So we kind of have a counterattack pin. If he moves out, then the Hellions can swing on in and do massive damage. We have the visual pin. He can't scout in here because we'll kill off his stuff, and then that'll suck hard for him. So great. We have him in lockdown. He can't scout us. What does that mean? We have plenty of time to do something awesome. Now, this is another part where I want to take just a brief breather and think about what are different ways to go mech in this circumstance and the way C is going to do it. One way that I've even seen C himself do is to just go Hellion Banshee. Be really, really aggressive with Hellion and Banshee, and then be following it up with tanks. We push him back, and then we build up our infrastructure, and we do a lot of harassment damage. We really try to get in his face as often as possible with it. But in this circumstance, C is actually halting Hellion production. He's lifted his factory, he's moved it over, and if you look around at what's going on in C's base, he's buying himself tons of time. He has locked down his opponent in terms of vision with this Raven Viking combo. He has the Hellions keeping the counterattack ready. It's a completely clever way to do this mech follow-up transition. It's really unique. It's very opposite of the super hyper aggressive styles we normally see. It's very upgrade centric. I mean, seriously, this is freaking brilliant. I absolutely freaking love this. This is just so cool. And of course, why stop building Hellions? Because 6 Hellions are just as threatening in a counterattack as 2 Hellions are. Or I should say as 4 Hellions are. So if we get like 20, it's not gonna cause anything different to happen. So our Raven Viking combo succeeds yet again. And actually, in the Protoss player cam, he's just going to have to play defensively. So when most Protoss players are in a defensive position, what they will do is they will focus on upgrades and Colossus. Just almost always they'll do that. Occasionally they'll go for the Storm instead, but almost always they're going to go for this Power Core combo. They're going to do something that is non-aggressive. Now, I have seen Rain do some aggressive stuff, but he's freaking Rain.
Research complete.
We also see why we like the idea of tanks earlier. So that way we can knock down these destructible rocks and take our third earlier. 1-1 upgrades, no surprise. Going for Blue Flame, no surprise. We do get forced back a little bit by a small force, but we can still just hold watchtowers, which is a total mistake. I don't know why he's not holding this watchtower. I have no idea why. There's a little bit of an overreaction, but, you know, whatevs. And as every Gosu player should, LiquidSea is just constantly checking up to see whether his opponent has taken a third base or not. Yeah! No matter what, third bases are always the biggest signal of what's to come. If there was no third here, then C should probably build a couple turrets at the front of his base. Should probably build an extra bunker, focus on tanks, make sure that he is checking for this huge all-in that's about to happen. But because it's not, because he does see a Nexus, he knows that there's some expand focus going on, so he has the comfort to build extra add-ons here if he wants. He has the comfort to keep knocking down these rocks. He has the comfort to move out with his orbital command, the comfort to go here knowing that there's probably nothing scary going on. And of course he saw a ripple, and he'll be moving out. So, what is another issue that we have seen at this point, or that we have at this point? This is probably where we'll be taking the break. What is a big issue we have? We have mainly tanks as the big damage dealing part of our force, but in small numbers tanks are a little bit weak. So we would like to be able to put some pressure back on our opponent. Think about how you do that in a way that's not suicidal and crazy. Maybe it's splitting your tanks up, maybe it's going for a medevac. Take a moment to think about that, because when we come back we're going to finish the game. 2-part daily, yeah. I'm in a thumb uppy mood, yeah.